Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
Hello and welcome to Popternative. This is the talk show and podcast for our digital discussions, the worlds of TV, film, pop culture, everything really depending on the guests talk about it all. As always, I'm your host, Peter Remoliotis. On social media, you know me as PD Beats. A film called Bloodthirsty, a horror film, is going to be out April 23rd in theaters and on demand. And we are speaking to Lauren, Beatty, and Greg Bryk about this. Lauren, Greg, welcome to Popternative.
Thank
for
you.
having us, PD.
Gosh, you could be one of those auction callers.
Yeah,
Yeah, you could.
absolutely. Well, I have to also mention, Greg, you were the third Bryk to be on the show. I've interviewed your sons Dempsey and Billy, and they were great. But you're not in the bathtub this time, so I got
No, another brick in the wall. Just another brick in the wall.
Absolutely. Question for both of you. Start with Lauren. I mean, both of you have worked in the genre of horror before. I just wanted to know, because this is such a unique, cool film, what was this film like compared to other horror films you've worked in the past, Lauren?
Yeah, so I mean, the first horrors I kind of did were Pay the Ghost and Jigsaw. So, I mean, especially with Jigsaw, those ones were very much, I guess what you would consider the classic type of a horror film, lots of scares, stuff like that. Whereas Bloodthirsty, it's very much rooted. It's in its characters. It's very character driven. You really empathize with the characters and their journey. So yeah, I guess it's different in that way. I think a lot of people might not even consider Bloodthirsty or the other film I did with Amelia Moses, Bleed With Me.
Yep.
Some people might not even think, they'd be questioning, like, is that really horror? Or is it, but I mean, it really is. And I think we're constantly like pushing the boundaries or the definitions of what horror is. And there's so many subgenres and all this stuff. So, but this, I would say, is my favorite type of horror, is when it is more rooted in the characters and character driven.
Absolutely. Greg, it is a unique horror film, this. I mean, there's not much more to say about it, the werewolf aspect of it, but Bloodthirsty is a very unique horror film. What was it like working on this compared to others that you've worked on as well?
It was interesting. I think, as Lauren said, it's, the relationships were so critical to the unraveling of the story.
Yes. That
as an actor, you always, you're drawn to those moments of tactile human connection. I think that's, for me, is always most interesting. So that was great. But for me, the practical makeup was amazing. Like the building the werewolves and being part of that long film history of practical makeup. But also you can recognize yourself in the wolf, when they're building your face, but it's all just an extension of who you are. And there's something at a gut level exciting about seeing yourself as the wolf. I was joking earlier, when I was in theater school, I ate a ton of mushrooms one time. And I was with my wife.
As you do.
Yeah, as one does. And I was looking in the mirror, and I turned into a demon, but it wasn't a scary demon. It was just like, that dark power is there, and it's in all of us. So this is sort of the physical manifestation of that. And I would look at myself in the mirror a few times, and it was like, it was a recognition of something that we all have. And maybe it's an echo of millions of years of evolution, but there's something of the hunter and the killer in all of us that I could see, and it was kind of exciting.
For sure. Absolutely.
Definitely.
And Lauren, it's interesting, because for people that are going to watch this film, it might not seem like it slow burn, but there's a lot going on in this film. There's a lot going on. There's no surprise there. When you're reading the script for this, what's going through your mind? And does it like sink in right away? Like, okay, this is like a dynamic script. This is not just kind of a tale of a werewolf. There's way more to it. What's that like when you're reading the script for the first time?
Yeah, I mean, it's always so exciting when you get a script that you're actually excited about. I mean, I audition a lot, and I can't say that I'm always thrilled about the script. So, it was definitely super complex. I could see, this very clear, intense emotional journey that Gray goes on of, discovering herself and trying to figure out how far she can push herself for her art, what she's willing to sacrifice for her art. and then just the queer relationship in the film is so awesome to me, that it's, you know, it's just there and it's not the central point of the movie. It's, you know, just there as if it was a straight relationship. You know, there's no difference. Yeah, I was so excited by it, and the fact that it's so female driven and, you know, co-written by two women and the director's female. So yeah, I was just like completely excited. And then once I heard the music, I was just sold. Well,
they threw everything in there. I mean, Greg, this movie is packed. Like, this is a packed film.
Yeah. You know, it is. The thing that was interesting for me is that, you know, to fulfill yourself, you have to feed yourself. And a lot of times we feed others our best selves first. And we feel responsible to so many other people and obligations and social niceties and stuff that you, as an artist, I think you owe it to yourself a bit of selfishness, or enough selfishness. And that's always the balance. So for me, the idea of playing with greatness and what the toll you have to pay, and you do have to pay a toll. There's no easy way to the top of that mountain. So that thematically was very interesting to me. And then once I met Lauren and Amelia and Catherine, it was, you know, they're all a little bit younger than me. And
like 2 years.
They're dynamic young artists, and they have a specific voice, and they're confident in their voices. And to be around that and to collaborate with them, I found it very, it was like a very joyful process. Mm. And it touched me. It surprised, like in the plane, you read a movie and you start to do your homework and you have ideas about it. In the best way, it's like prepare, but don't decide. Like you prepare, but then when we started to play together and I could hear Lauren sing, and there's a purity to her voice, and it just unsettled me. It took me to a very, I don't know, like a very vulnerable place. Like I felt like I was a 15-year-old kid again, and I didn't know what the future was going to hold, and like self-doubts, which was an interesting dynamic to play with, because there's a certainty to Vaughn as well. But putting those two together, to me, kept things uncertain for me, which I think is more interesting for an audience too, rather than planning how you're going to get there. You're playing in the moment and letting yourself feel what you're going to feel.
Absolutely. Yeah, the music component is like, the music component of this film is awesome, because you know, PD Beats, it came from me playing in bands. That was like my stage name on drums. You know what I mean? So
as it should be.
So that's really good. I want to know about learning experiences for both of you as storytellers and actors on this film, because, you know, you both have been working for a good amount of time. You both worked on some amazing projects, but there's always going to be learning experiences no matter how long you've worked for. Lauren, what were some learning experiences working on Bloodthirsty?
Oh my gosh, so many things. I think just the collaborative nature of the set was really awesome. I mean, it was an independent film, so the crew and the cast is pretty small, and getting to know these guys so well through that, because, you know, we're working together, we're shuttling together most of the time, we're living in the same hotel. It was really special. You know, there's a special energy on set, and I think honestly, it also comes from having a lot of women around you. I think, you know, women are just inherently, there's a presence, you know, there's a presence. And I think it was very much felt on set. And I think I really just learned that, I mean, for me personally, that I can surprise myself a lot. And, you know, when I took this part, I had imposter syndrome. I had worries about, can I carry this film? Can I perform the music well enough? Is Lowell gonna like me singing her songs? Is she gonna regret it? You know, all these thoughts. And it's interesting because that's really mirrored in what's happening for Gray. Yeah. She's trying to write her sophomore album, and she's struggling. She's having all of those same doubts. So for me, like, I learned a lot through this part in a way, because it's like, you know, just leave that shit behind. Let's, you know, just focus on the task at hand. You know, just let it all go and let your true self out. So yeah, it was really cool for me to kind of get to live that juxtaposition of, like, or I guess the mirroring of what was happening for me and for Gray.
Yeah, absolutely. Greg, what about you, learning experience wise on Bloodthirsty?
It's more at this stage for me is like the meeting the people. Yeah. So I think in life you come across people that you feel a connection to and that you enjoy and that you don't learn from in some academic way, but you take something of them and you carry that with you. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that was one of the gifts on this, is this great sense of family. And with small movies, that's more easily achieved than with big productions, because everybody's together more and you're just proximity, right? Yeah. I was really I love meeting new talent. Like, I love working with people and sharing moments with people that I haven't before. Selfishly, I want to gather as many great on-camera experiences as I can in my life, and to get to share the screen with Lauren was great. And I think Amelia is a dynamite director. She's very confident in the world she's going to create, and confident enough to allow you space to do what you need to do. And it was just really, it was just a really fun experience for me.
We also learned,
and plus I got an amazing leather coat out of it.
Yeah, Greg also learned that he's really afraid of mice.
Oh, so I kind of knew that, but it was really proved. I'm going to be honest here, Pete. I didn't have my most courageous moment. Like, if I was part of the Navy SEAL 6 team and they were going after a mouse instead of Bin Laden, like, history might be written differently. Because there was a scene where I have to get that little mouse, and he for sure was rabid. He seemed much bigger on the ground than in my hand, and he had scratchy nails.
It just wasn't for you.
It shouldn't be for anyone.
You should have seen this man. You should have seen this man crumble at the sight.
I did, and Lauren taped it, and she posts it every once in a while, shamefully, on Instagram. I keep writing.
I'm just trying to keep you humble, Greg. Just trying to keep you humble.
Trust me, I've raised 3 kids. You don't know how humble I am. I'm like the bottom. Like,
one of them does interviews in a bathtub.
Yeah.
Trust me, the coal sheet in my family's evolving, and I'm at the bottom of it now.
I know, absolutely. Well, Greg, Lauren, I just wanted to thank you both for coming on the show and talking about Bloodthirst. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Pete.
Thanks for having us.
And I guess I missed the cool hat memo. Because both of you.
I only put this on because he had that on, and I was like,
I only had this on because my hair's thinning and I didn't wash it. So.
Absolutely. So very quickly, April 23rd, in theaters and on demand. And where can people follow you on social media quickly to keep up to date with everything, Lauren?
Best is probably Instagram at LaurenLynn19.
And Greg?
At Greg Bryk everywhere.
Amazing. Well, this has been Popternative. YouTube.com/Popternative. For previous episodes, be sure to catch Lauren and Greg in Bloodthirsty. April 23rd is going to be available. Till next time, it says Lauren, Greg, and Petey Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.